Once again, you're riding with Marshall, but what are we riding today? That's always a question every weekend. Today, it's a bike I really wanted to ride because I've ridden one similar. You might remember the Royal Enfield Continental 650, and that one had cafe bars. And I'm not a big fan of cafe bars. I like to ride a little longer than my back would allow under such circumstances. So here is the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. Check out the rear shocks. It's funny how Harley-Davidson never thought to put such things on a Sportster. Maybe they did, but none that I've owned.
This engine is an air and oil cooled parallel twin with 42 usable ponies and 38 foot-pounds of torque. Now, those aren't real big numbers today, but they are very adequate numbers for a machine you could putt around the civilized sections of the world with. Adding water cooling would allow a boost in numbers, but then you increase weight and price too, bringing you into the Triumph Bonneville's wheelhouse. I think Royal Enfield knows their place and distances from the Bonnevilles a bit, especially in price. However, I have to say that the recent Royal Enfields are exceptionally refined and are chomping on the heels of the Triumph Bonnevilles. Although the gas tank is a mere 3.6 gallons, the miles per gallon get pretty close to 50, so you should be able to go further than 150 miles. This bike even sounds like a Bonneville to my ears with the low baritone burble. It's February, so let's don our heated gloves and take it for a ride.
See how these brakes are. A little bit of dive in the forks. Clutch is right at the bars, which is what I like. Leaned over just a little bit, but not bad.
The Royal Enfield name has been around since the late 1800s, with the first Royal Enfield motorcycle in 1901. Although the history is worthy of a documentary or two, that is not my goal today. You want to know about this bike, the Interceptor 650. It's actually difficult to talk about this bike without referring to history, as this bike is very retro-styled, right down to the paint colors. In fact, if I were to order one, I would go for the chrome tank, known as the Mark II. Not to bring up history again, but yes, we are going there. The modernized, retro-styled machine resembles the 1967 INT650. The torque is so low on this bike The gear changes are seamless. No lurch, no wheelies. It's a gentleman's machine, or a gentlewoman's, or the perfect bike for a new rider that just wants a simple, reliable, lightweight, upright cruiser for not a lot of cash. In fact, this may be the least expensive twin-cylinder in its class, at under $7,000 out the door. This bike has what a lot of new riders want. It's approachable. It looks like anyone could master it, and that's actually quite true. It can be ridden in the tight European streets, filter lanes in the freeways of California, or enjoy the mountain canyons. In my experience, retro bikes like this are excellent in high winds too, as more wind flows through them than pushes against them. What I love about it is that it rides and handles without drama, even better than the historical models it emulates. Throw on your bomber jacket on a spring day, add a picnic basket, and ride out to the country. Park it on the grass under a tall tree, eat lunch, and lay down for a bit while your worries vanish like the few clouds do above. Then ride it into town and down some dark alleys. Pretend you are a messenger in London, delivering important news. But back to the here and now, though. I'll mention my concerns, which are few. Actually, only two. Although the rear suspension thoughtfully has reservoirs for better performance than most bikes, the front forks are just a tad soft and will dive if you grab a handful of front brake. Just telling you something to be ready for. Speaking of brakes, the front brake is pretty good actually, but I can hardly get the rear brake to grip. That could just be a simple linkage adjustment, or it could be by design, preventing a new rider from skidding out the rear wheel. But it also has ABS brakes, which would also prevent you from skidding out the rear wheel. Use both brakes though, and the bike balances perfectly as you come to a stop. The fact that it features ABS brakes at this price point is exceptional. And I forgot to mention that the engine is a 6-speed, which is also exceptional in this price point. Now, having been a Goldwing owner for half of my riding years, I do prefer a windshield and a place to put my camera bag. Perhaps some lightweight crash bars. Well, guess what? Royal Enfield has numerous accessories for their model lines. When you're buying the bike, ask the dealer what else is available. I'm heading back towards the dealer now, and regretfully, as this is a really nice bike to ride. Speaking of the dealer, this is Fort Collins Motorsports. They are not only my local Royal Enfield dealer and Indian dealer, but also the place where I bought 3 bikes without paying crazy fees. In fact, we bought the Ducati Scrambler here last year, and we left right side up in the loan. Now, your experience may vary, but I personally won't pay inflated fees ever again when I buy a bike, and I tell the dealers that before we even begin the sale. Let's not waste each other's time, or my money. Anyway, not only does Fort Collins Motorsports carry Indian, Yamaha, some Suzuki, they also have side-by-sides, they have dirt bikes, they have helmets, and they have jackets. And I bought several of my helmets from there, because I like to accessorize. You should stop in and check them out. With that said, I'm out, so keep your chin up in the turns.